What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? You already know what time it is, man. I'm gonna do a little quick hit for you guys today. But before I do the quick hit, if you're on YouTube, you already know what to do. Push the like button. Also push that subscribe button, man. Show us some love so we can go ahead and keep giving you the content that we give you every which week that we come on. Also, if you're on Facebook, click that StreamYard link for us so we can also be able to interact with you. But today, I'm just gonna give you a couple of nuggets today on just some of my thoughts today. Nothing too heavy. But before you do that, click that button. Check us out, man. You already know what it is, man. BirdCage is in the building. Let's go.
BirdCage.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You already know what it is, man. This is your boy, Ryan Walker, better known as the historian. You already know how we get down with it, man. So, welcome to just a quick little edition of what's happening and what's going on and whatnot. Hey, we got some things going on right now, talking about mock drafts. We keep hearing about Bijan Robinson being the number 8th pick overall. Let's just be real, man. Stop mocking this kid to us, man. We have more needs than just a running back. And you don't see running backs taken in the first round anymore. It just doesn't work like that. The value of a running back is not that high anymore. You get him in the second and you get him in the third round, but you're not taking one in the first round like that. Let's just be honest, man. The life of a running back is only for about 3 to 4 years. And half of the time they're sharing carries. So let's just be real on this hit. Bijan Robinson is a talent. But all I'm saying is this right now. When we talk about everything that's coming our way when it comes to this draft that's coming up, we still got some holes to fix. Offensive line, wide receiver. I mean, you still are unsure about what's going to happen with the secondary. Jeff Okudah is a nice piece that we picked up, but let's be real. He's been injury prone since he's been in the league. He's never been able to have a clean bill of health. So all I'm saying is drafting a running back in the first round doesn't make much sense. I mean, a lot of the experts are saying, oh, well, the Falcons can do this. The Falcons can do that with the running back. Let's just be real. We still got to see how Caleb Huntley's going to come back off of that Achilles injury. We also still have Tyler Algier, the record-setting rookie who broke William Andrews' record, and you still have Cordell Patterson, and you still have Avery Williams. So you still have a nice, solid backfield. But I'm not taking Bijan today. We have more pressing issues outside of just the running back. Let's be real on this. If I'm going to go for a running back, I'm going to take the guy, and you can go ahead and research it and look it up. I'm going to take the guy who was the number 1 pick. I'm sorry, the number 1 running back coming out of high school in the country. That's Mr. Zach Evans. He went to Ole Miss, but he started off in TCU. If you look at his numbers, he outran Bijan Robinson when he first touched down in the Big 12. He eventually left TCU and goes to Ole Miss, and he still balls out in the SEC where big boys play. Let's be real on that. SEC, Big Ten, ACC, then everything else falls after. Let's just be honest. The level of competition that kid played against was the same in the Big 12, but he also slid over to the SEC and showed out there. And he wasn't sharing carries like that. So let's just be honest, man. We can get a running back in the later rounds. All I'm saying is what's going on, Octavius? What's going on, Facebook user? But all I'm saying is this. Terry has also spoke on today, possibly not even drafting in the 8th round. He's entertaining the position of possibly trading back. There are some fans that we have that are talking about, Terry's talking about trading up to possibly get an edge rusher. I mean, it sounds good, but why would you trade up when it's so much talent? Matter of fact, I'll just say this here. It is a plethora of talent when you talk about in this defensive draft. This is a defensive heavy draft. It's not a wide receiver heavy draft. Honestly, this is a defensive draft right now. This is where you start building your defense and having at least the foundation of your defense for the next years to come. Let's just be real on that. If you trade back and give up that position to somebody else, you're going to acquire more picks. More picks mean you could possibly have impact players that could help out, whether on the defensive side and the offensive side. So you're not just stuck getting one or two guys that could be key. You actually can trade back and get a plethora of guys to add to those draft picks. You got to remember, we just gave up a 5th round draft pick to Jeff Okudah. Got to give it to Terry Fontenot. He's actually wheeling and dealing. With all the moves that he's made, he's been wheeling and dealing since he's been in Atlanta. He's got money now, so he was able to make moves as we saw this offseason. You look at Calais Campbell, you look at Bates, you look at Jeff Okudah, you look at David Onyemata. You look at the moves that he has made in the offseason. It really shows that the man is trying to build. He couldn't make those type of moves because we were restricted with the cap. Apparently, you saw that he wasn't scared to get rid of Matt Ryan, get rid of Deion Jones, and also get rid of Julio Jones. The man literally is a wizard when it comes to wheeling and dealing and bringing in pieces that we need. They got a plan right now. We got to trust it. Yeah, we're hearing it smoke screens, but let's be real. If you have a chance to bring in more picks to the Falcons at this point, you would. Let's just be real. The more depth you have, the more availability that you have in the later parts of the season. You got to remember, we're playing 17 games now all throughout the season. It's not a 16-game season anymore. You've added 17 games to the season. So when you look at the games that have been added to the season, you're talking about wear and tear on guys. You're talking about the long grind of a season. And God forbid you get your bye week early in the season. That pretty much is going to be a long stretch for your players offensively and defensively to stay healthy. All I'm saying is there's so many ways that you could go about it. But if I'm going to go about any way in this draft to take a running back, I got to take a running back in the 3rd or 4th round. There are guys who can actually carry the load. There are guys in this draft that literally can do the same things that Bijan Robinson did. Bijan was literally on TV a lot because he's a hell of a ball player. You can't take that away from him. But there are guys who are just as explosive and just as well. I give you another guy who's just as explosive and really is a very good running back. When you sit back and you look at it, you have Kenny McIntosh out of University of Georgia. Look at his stats. He never dropped the pass out of the backfield. We need a running back that has home run speed. Kenny has game speed. The 40 that he ran at his pro day and also at his 40, at the combine, I was a little tongue twisted, wasn't that great. But if you see the kid on film, not many people catch him from behind. He has game speed. A lot of people forget that Jerry Rice had game speed as well. Jerry ran a 4.79 in his 40. But if you saw him get behind people, not many people caught Jerry Rice from behind. Let's be real. McIntosh never dropped the ball, not dropped the pass in his whole entire Georgia career in the game. He blocks, he runs between the tackles, and he's a guy that can set things up. You also have Tajay Spears out of Tulane. That is a guy that you can pick up in the draft as well. I don't have him listed on here, but he's a guy that you literally look at, good speed, good hands, blocking, run between the tackles, but most people don't know about him because Tulane is a smaller school and you see them every once in a while, but they had a damn good year and they knocked off USC and the Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams. Another running back that you would honestly look at is Eric Gray. He originally started off at the University of Tennessee and he ended up going over to Oklahoma to get more playing time. Let's be real. Eric Gray is an underrated guy that literally came in to a situation in Tennessee where that backfield was loaded. Played a little bit, but didn't really get to show what he could do. But him going out to Oklahoma really showed the speed, the vision, the patience, great blocker. And the other thing is he's a kid out of Tennessee, so he's a Southern boy. So you're bringing a kid back home to the South who literally has played and has been in a situation where he had to grow up and mature. And that's the other thing you have to look at. How many of these running backs come out of a system where they've had to mature and they've had stability. Let's just be real on that. Gray had Lincoln Riley for 3 years, but he ended up having a new coach this year and Brett Venerables for a season. So he's able to adjust. That is something that you have to look at. You have to have guys that are willing to adjust to what's going on, because everything changes here and there. So those are my just keys on the running backs, as I would say. But honestly, if I'm going to take somebody, I really would take a cornerback in the first round, because like I said again, Jeff Okudah isn't a guy that you can trust because he's only played 25 games in his career. He was slated to be better than A.J. Terrell. He was the top corner in that draft. He goes to Detroit. Maybe a change of scenery brings out the best in him. But let's just be honest about this. Let's call it for what it is. Availability is the best ability. There's no difference between an injured player and the guy that's on the bench, period. Period. So when you look at it, we're going to talk about bringing in somebody who could possibly push him to challenge him, but you also want to have depth at that cornerback position, because we re-signed Cornell Armstrong. He was solid once he got his feet up under him, but let's just be real. He got beat on a lot of things that he shouldn't have got beat on. They bringing him back as depth purposes. He's got experience. We got rid of Casey Hayward. So we have to bring in somebody who's going to make an immediate impact or push that cornerback room for competition. Now, I'm going to say this, though. Everybody is high on Christian Gonzalez. I'm just going to be real. Christian Gonzalez disappears like Houdini in the big games. You know, a lot of people don't want to talk about it. They look at the combine. They look at his freakish numbers. They look at everything else that is in a situation to where you sit back, you're like, man, he's got all the physical intangibles. If Jerry Gray gets him, he could probably turn him into something. But here's the thing. As Bill Parcells once said, you know, Hall of Fame coach, of those of you who don't know who he is, 2 Super Bowls with the Giants and coached one of the greatest football players of all time in Lawrence Taylor. Players are like puppies. Players are like dogs. Normally, when you get a young player in high school, he's a pretty good hitter. In college, he's a pretty good hitter. His intangibles carry forward. It's just like he says about puppies. If you get a guy that's a dog on your defense or a dog on your team, they're like pups. You know if a dog is going to bite or if they're not, because puppies snap at you early. If you get a dog that's willing to snap at you early in their young years, they're going to snap at you in their older years. Point blank, period. Now, if you're a good master, you don't have to worry about that, but it'll snap at everything else to protect you. So when you get a young player, you got to mold them. When they get to the league, it's all about contact teaching. The fundamentals should already be there. Let's just be honest. If we don't get Witherspoon, you have Cam Smith. I mean, you have so many different players that you could go after. So many different players you can go after. You know, and honestly, all I can say is this, man. When you really sit back and you evaluate the talent that's in this draft, defensively, it's ridiculous. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I saw some mock drafts. Now, I'm a diehard Georgia fan. I love me some Keely Ringo, but I'm not taking him at number 8. I would never take Keely at 8. Let's just be real. Keely has all the physical intangibles to be great. Now, all I can say is this. If you have a chance to get him in the second round, you go get him, because guess what? Keely really isn't a cornerback. Keely's been playing out of position his whole career, and he was an All-American and an All-SEC player first team at Georgia. That is a guy who can be a safety. Yeah, you got Bates, but for how long? $64 million. Bates is a little bit older. You got to start looking at bringing in guys that can be groomed to take over once these older players leave. Now, if you don't go in that route, as we said before, if Jalen Carter falls to us, that's beautiful. But if you don't want to take a Jalen Carter and you don't want to risk everything that has happened off the field, let's just be real about this. Another guy you should look at, we've been talking about Peter Skoronski, DeJuan Jones out of Ohio State, Paris Johnson Jr. A guy that brings versatility to the line is Broderick Jones out of University of Georgia. Jones plays every position on the line, not just not just left tackle, not just left guard. He played some right tackle, played some right guard, and also played center. And literally before Cedric Von Pine Granger got there, Broderick Jones had a lot of experience there. We've been struggling at the center position in the NFL with the snaps. Mariota chased after a lot of balls on the ground last year. Ritter had to make a lot of athletic plays. If we can't get our snaps correct, we are not going to win that battle at the line of scrimmage on the offense. That is the first thing. That is basic fundamentals. Can you snap the football? We had problems with that. If you want to address that, if you're not going to go defensive line, cornerback, you're not going to go in those directions, get you a guy that's versatile on the line. Get a guy that's going to help out. All I'm saying is let's just be real about this. We have a situation to where we need to fix this offensive line. We talk about all the great things we do. We can run all day, but how the hell are you going to run with the football being put on the ground? The balls have been snapped on the ground all majority of the season. Drew Dahlman is not a center. I'm sorry. He played it. He stepped in for us. He is not a center. Now, if you get him in a situation to where he can make some things happen, that's one thing. But Drew Dahlman is not a center. You know, we got Hen Dog. You know, Matt Hennessy. Everybody was saying, oh, well, we gave up on him too soon. No, Hennessy put some balls on the ground too when he first started. He struggled. Hennessy is a natural guard. You leave him at that guard spot. Before that knee injury happened, that side of that line that he played on that left side coming off with Matthews, the running backs could literally run through that hole. When he went down with that knee injury last year, we were literally trying to figure, it's not we. Let me make sure I correct it. Arthur Smith was trying to figure out who he was going to plug and play in that position on the offensive line. It was like a Chinese fire drill. Let's just be honest on that. You have to have a guy that's got some stability and that has some things that's going to put you in a spot to where you're going to win. Point blank, period. That's how you're going to have to look at it. Now, the other gentleman that I'm looking at on that offensive line, you know, I got to be honest, man. DeJuan Jones. If he's not going to play center, you got a guy that's going to match up, big body. He can start off with the guard spot. He'll be a big guard. Let's just be real on that. He'll be a big guard. But guess what? With the versatility that he brings, being a big man, being nimble, if you look at his film, he's able to get out to the outside for the toss sweeps. He's able to fill the alleys and clean up the trash that filters through and open up lanes. All I'm saying is you really have to start looking at different spots if you don't go defense. Offensive line is something that you got to go. Running back is something that is a pipe dream. We're not taking a running back at one. If we do, you know, it's a process that we got to trust. I won't be a fan of the pick. I'm just going to keep it a buck with you. I'm not going to be a fan of the pick if you take Bijan Robinson today, because there's so many other things that need to be addressed and fixed. If you can't make a decision on that 8th spot, draft back, trade back, get your depth. The more depth we have, the more ball games we can possibly win, because you're taking a lot of stress off of some of these vets, because injuries happen during the season. Injuries depleted our offensive line this year. Let's be real. We've got to be in a spot to where the same way that we're building up depth on this defense, we've got to do the same for the offensive line. You can never have too many good offensive line at all. Now, another situation that came up, and you know, we had some mixed emotions about it on our page or whatnot. Let's be honest. Brandon Ayuk for the San Francisco 49ers. Brandon Ayuk is a very good receiver, very solid. Now, here's my thing. If Brandon Ayuk is a willing blocker, because we ain't going to throw the ball 100 times a game. We already know this. It's not like that offense that he's played in San Francisco. But he could be a deep threat for the Falcons and be someone who could come in and literally put the fear of God into a defense. Great route runner, great hands, speed is very good. You know, the year they went to the Super Bowl, Brandon Ayuk pretty much put him in there with beating the Cincinnati Bengals in that fourth quarter by himself. and that was to get to the Super Bowl. And eventually they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. But the game that put him on the map was that game against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. You know, he literally made some great plays down the stretch, and he's clutch. Now, the one thing that you could also talk about is entertaining this. I'll say this. When you talk about entertaining, I'll say this. If you talk about entertaining anything with the 49ers, let's find out how much they want us to have. How much do they want us to give up to bring him in? Because if they're not going to take too much off the top and it's not going to hurt us financially or it's going to set us back, go get him. Because you got a veteran receiver who is not afraid of the moment because he's played in big games, he's played in playoffs, he's got experience, and you got a guy that can mentor Drake London on how to be a better professional, because Drake literally is in here by himself learning how to play receiver. Yes, we have Mac Hollis. Yes, we brought in a couple of other guys, but let's be real. None of those guys are anything like Brandon Ayuk. I'm sorry. Brandon Ayuk is one of the most dangerous receivers in the game he gets talked about, but not like he should. And honestly, if he was to come into a city like Atlanta, you take a lot of pressure off of Drake London. You take a lot of pressure off of Kyle Pitts, you know, so he can start to finally become the player that everybody wants to see him become. No, I'm not calling him a unicorn. I'm sorry. It ain't happening. His rookie year, he was forced into that spot. People had film on him. He's got to get better at running routes. He's got to get better at doing the small things. I'm hard on him because guess what? He's a #1 draft pick. The same way that everybody is hard, the same way everybody is hard on quarterbacks that are coming here, the same way that a lot of people are hard on Desmond Ridder after just 4 games, keep that same energy with your first-round pick, Kyle Pitts. Let's talk about the fact that those routes are not finished. Let's talk about the fact that because you don't get the ball, you pout. Like, nah, dog. You better keep your head on the swivel and step your game up. You got a guy in Jonnu Smith who is a monster at a tight end position that worked with Arthur Smith, and Arthur Smith used him the same way that he uses Cordell Patterson. So guess what? You take a lot of pressure off of Cordell Patterson when you have a guy like a Jonnu Smith to come in and they got to do a couple of things. Let's just be real. Jonnu Smith literally is a guy who can kill a defense with his speed, his size, his catch radius, his physicality, his blocking. He does it all. That is a guy who does it all. And he knows Arthur Smith's system. So all I'm going to say is this. If you have a chance to sweeten the deal, as everybody is saying, all I'm going to say is this. Sweeten that deal. If he don't cost that much, bring him on in. Bring him on in. Let Mr. Ayuk come in here and let that speed in those hands do what Calvin Ridley was supposed to do for us. Because I'm not comparing him to Calvin Ridley, but I'll just be honest with you. He ain't too far off from Ridley. Go look at his footage. Go look at how many defenders he puts on skates when he's running his routes. Go look at how he'll go up and go get a ball no matter where he is on the field. He wasn't a #1 draft pick, but he's a guy that worked his tail off and literally came into that system and showcased his talent. That is a guy that you look at. Now, if you don't want to spend no money on a receiver, and if they want too much, let him go. Let them keep him. And here's my thing. 4th, 5th, or 6th round. If Xavier Smith is there, you go get him out of FAMU. If he's not there, you go get Jadakiss Bonds. If he's not there, you go get Shaq Davis. You have so many guys that you can go get. You know, another guy that needs to be considered heavily for the wide receiver position, maybe in the 2nd or 3rd round. I don't know how you feel about it. Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee. Let's be real. Cedric Tillman doesn't get hurt in the Kent State game. You don't know who Jalen Hyatt is. Cedric Tillman is a bad man. You're talking about a guy that's about 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 210 pounds, runs a 4.45 in his 40, great hands, great body control, and does things that make you just say, damn, this dude is a monster. He can play, and he blocked, and he was tested. So all I'm saying is this. It's so many options that we can do. It's so many ways that we can go. But hey, you already know what it is, man. The Falcons are going to do things the way that they want, and you already know that we're going to be in a situation to where it's going to be good for us either way it goes. Because I'm truly looking forward to this season, and I want to see what Chef Terry is cooking up. Because, like I said, he already had the money to go buy the groceries. He's whipping up that gum. He's whipping up that. He's whipping up that famous gumbo. He's a Louisiana boy. We'll forgive him for that. He came out of New Orleans. We will forgive him for that. But let's just be real. He a Louisiana boy. He cooking up either some gumbo or some jambalaya. He's got his crab legs, his boudin sausages, his shrimp, some sliced Cajun chicken, some okra, some fried okra, a little bit of rice, some tomatoes, some stewed tomatoes. Let me make sure I put that out there or whatever. With his jambalaya, man, you gotta let this man cook. And honestly, I say this: the division is wide open this year. We had money to spend. Let's make sure that this money goes to a good spot. Let's make sure that we put ourselves in a position to where we're gonna make some things happen. I'm just gonna be real with you on this, man. I really believe that we're in a position to where I'll say this. I really believe that we're in a position to where we're gonna be, we really gonna be feared. Let's just be real. We're really gonna be feared because they don't know what they expect. We had the top rushing offense this year. Top rushing, top 3. So when you add that to Ritter being more comfortable and giving him a shot and giving him weapons, let's be real. I'm gonna say this here. I'm a Desmond Ritter fan, yes. But if he does not pan out for us, remember this: we have money, we got bread, we got dinero, we got lettuce, paper, however you want to call it, or pesos for my folks who like that term. We gonna have pesos next year to spend, and it's gonna be some great quarterbacks coming out next year. I want Ritter to do well so we can continue to add around him, but like I said, I can't judge him off 4 games. I know what he did in college, but let's see what he does. No turnovers. Let's make sure that the kid comes in. Let's give him a real shot. We already know he's going to be judged. He's going to be judged by so many people who didn't want him, who wanted Lamar Jackson to come here. But, hey, it is what it is. Desmond Ritter is our guy. We got him. We got to ride with him this year. And here's the thing. If you ain't riding with Ritter, I get it. You want it. You got to be proven right. But all I'm gonna say is this: if he start winning, are you gonna jump on the bandwagon, or you gonna wait for him to mess up so you can go ahead and criticize? That's all I got for y'all today, man. Check us out Thursday night. We got this draft party coming up, man. BirdCage. We doing some things, man. We got giveaways. We got a couple of cash. We might have a cash prize. We might have a custom art piece. We might have a t-shirt. You know what I'm saying, for you guys. But you just tune in. We're not just going to be doing analysis just on the Falcons. That's our team. We're going to focus on them heavily. But we're going to also be doing draft analysis on other teams that are in the league to talk about the prospects that they're going to have coming into the league to see what they're going to be all about. Hey, man, this is your boy, Ryan Walker. I am the historian. You already know how I get down, man. We're out here getting it in. I love y'all. Y'all be peaceful. Y'all stay out of trouble. Tip your barbers, tip your waitresses. And if y'all go to the adult clubs where you see the lovely shoe models, make sure that you tip them too. Some of them, need some extra ends or whatnot for tap dancing on the table for you. You know what I'm saying? Don't be cheap all your life, man. The Falcons ain't being cheap, so don't you do it. Hey, man, we out of here, man. Peace.